Welcome to another episode of Tanya Takes. It's me, Abram, along with my co-host Devin. Devin, how you doing today?
Um, well, we had fun on St. Patrick's Day. A couple of new
Yeah,
things arose in my life, so I'm really happy and then looking forward to the coming days. How about you, Abram?
yeah. It's not a great time to be a Quicks fan, but I'm really loving the weather. Like the weather has been really good, and that's the only positive going on right now. Um, but yeah, not a super eventful week. It's been like the same as usual. We lost again. Surprise, surprise. I don't think anyone expected us to win on the road, but this is a game that against Kansas City could have been a tie. We had a goal disallowed late on, and then a few of them were just straight up blocked by Amelia or missed opportunities. What did you think about this game overall, Devin?
I think this game had a lot more optimism or an optimistic viewpoint than the rest of the games. We started the game with a bunch of a bunch of high press, really, kind of like what I said to Ivan or to you last week. Like, we have to be aggressive. We have to show motivation, show energy. Um, Most of that, and I think this game for most of the 90 minutes, we did show the fight. We showed the grit, but I think tactically that's where we went wrong.
Yeah, we were, meticulously looking over the footage from the game, and we were looking at the goals. I think the first one we conceded was, I don't know, it's hard to say, right? I think Abobasi is supposed to be marking that guy. I don't know. I think Rosero, is his name. But he's a big dude, and he was running into the box like a rhino. And I think that even if Abobasi tries to cover that run, there's not much you could do about it. You saw Yule get bulldozed out of the way, just trying to stand
Yeah.
in his path. But so yeah,
You
it
know, I
was a
think if
really
sorry, I
go
think
ahead.
if Yule jumped, I think if Yule made a jumping effort to get the ball there, I think a foul would have been called against Sporting Kansas City, preventing that goal.
You know what?
Nothing really against Yule, but I think if there was a little more effort into putting an attempt on a head there, we might have prevented a goal via foul.
No, yeah, I do agree with that. I hadn't thought of that solution, but we have to consider the fact that on the field is happening so fast. You don't even see the ball off the corner when you're defending it until it's like in the air coming at you, and then you have this giant center back literally like running in your direction. Like, what are you gonna do? So
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was tough.
In the moment, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, I wouldn't have stopped that. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I would have scored like 3 goals against me. You give that guy five opportunities, he's scoring all of them. Um, but the second goal was again another really well worked goal. I feel like, in hindsight, we could say that maybe Wilson, could have been more aware of where Belizzo's positioning was, or maybe Guezo shouldn't have tracked Shallowy into the box when Shallowy was already marked by two guys. And then could have moved over to cover Pulido. But you have to say that that was a really well worked play where Russell really drove toward our end line and found the space, found really dangerous areas, and then Pulido did a really good piece of like movement there to get open, free from his marker, and just be free by himself in the penalty box. Um, yeah, that's what you want from strikers. That's why Pulido is a DP level striker in this league, because you see kind of like drop the shoulder and moves to the right, and then he's by himself. What do you think about that goal, Devin?
Well, that's one of the most dangerous goals any soccer player can score, or the most dangerous plays, is having a player running to the end line and passing it back to the six or the penalty marker. That's how you get open. That's how most of the
Yeah,
strikers find open spaces. They make that fake run forward and then they drop back 3 or 4 steps and they collect so much opportunity. And I'm gonna use my Tottenham Hotspur for an example. There was a couple either last or yeah 2 or 3 games ago. Youngman Son had a similar stance where he was running straight to the box. There was an attempted cross by Johnson, I think, and Son before the cross took two or three steps back thus preventing the center backs from continuing their back
Coverage.
movement. Yeah,
Yeah.
their coverage. So the fact that Son made that movement and all the center backs kind of reverted to that, in the back post, Timo Werner was wide open and he slotted it. He slotted it home for one of their goals. So I think it's similar to that, like one of those passes from the six or from the side right there, kind of back across goal is one of the more dangerous chances you can get. So really, really good effort on Alan Pulido for recognizing that opportunity, taking a step back, and even more beautiful effort on Russell for managing to get past five San Jose Earthquakes players and getting the ball to Pulido himself. So big up the two Kansas City players on that play, but obviously, in a San Jose Earthquakes fan standpoint, that's not something that you really want to look again and again at.
Yeah, no, it was painful watching it. But like, who's at fault here? Like what went wrong? And they're Lucci and his staff are going to be looking at it, be like, okay, what do we do? What could we do differently? Um, and the truth is that Kansas City was better than us that day. Um, and then we have to think about what can we do to make ourselves step up to prevent that in the future because Kansas City is a great team with a very good attacking, trio, and the personnel in that team would fit into many teams in this league. But we're going to be facing Seattle next week. We're going to be facing, LAFC, big team. So it doesn't matter who we're up against. We have to find a way to stop them. And unfortunately, we didn't. But this game, we could have gotten out of there with a point. Surprisingly enough, with all the praise that we're giving Kansas City, we played well today. Well, I don't want to say well, but you know what I mean. This is our best game of the season so far, and that's not saying much. But we're very close to getting a point, which would be our first point of the year, which is
I think
shout out
well is a good terminology for this game because I actually did think we played well. We did have the opportunities. Away we had double shots on target versus Sporting Kansas City. We had six and they had three, and they put two of theirs away. We need to be more clinical in the final third, and I think a really good example of that is when Christian Espinoza had a glorious opportunity, or a breakaway opportunity, and he managed to not shoot the ball, and Kansas City came away with a good defensive tackle there. I think we need to be more clinical, and especially in the very first couple seconds in the second half, Amal Pellegrino had an opportunity to finish, going around the goalkeeper, but big up Tim Melia. It's hard to beat Tim Melia in any situation,
Yeah,
and he defended himself well against Pellegrino, but personally, I think given Pellegrino's stature, it probably could have put that one away, and even those two opportunities alone could have led us to win 3-2. So it is small nitpicking by us, Tectonic Takes, but it's also one of those things where those small nitpicking moments can lead to more glorious opportunities and victories down the road. So that's kind of our job here in trying to point out these moments for improvement for next game.
oh yeah, totally. I think soccer is a sport built on moments. That's all it is. You can have one moment where you score a goal, and all you need to do is win 1-0. So that's all it really takes. And you know, Speaking on Pellegrino, like you said, I feel like every game he's improving a little bit more and getting more acclimated to the players around him, and kind of being more integrated into the team, and he doesn't look like the odd man out as much. I do wish that we'd go toward the left more because we kind of force it down the right more often than anything else. But I think eventually Pellegrino's going to get off the mark, and hopefully once he does, he continues to score or set up chances for his teammates. But I think there's a lot to look forward to. But my overall prediction of the season has gone down quite a bit, seeing as we lost four in a row, 4 out of 4, with -6 goal differential. Um,
Yeah, not
yeah.
good. Not good
Um,
at all.
so, like I was saying, we got denied a goal late on in the game. Devin, do you think that that's a handball? Because I'm personally not convinced.
I think it is. You know, it
It hit his hand. I will say it hit his
With
hand.
Vitor
Yeah,
Costa's handball moment, you know, his arm was out here. It's basically in an outstretched position, you know, not in a normal position. I know when you jump, when a defender has to
yeah,
jump, they have to lift their arms, you know, to get as much loft as possible. But, you know, it is what it is. Like, his arm is up here and it hits his hand. So you can't really complain too much about you know, a handball call there. If it happened for us or against us, we'd be claiming handball too.
yeah. And now, as you were explaining that, I did think about like if that happened to us, I'd be pretty upset. Like if it wasn't called. But the only thing that was giving me pause about that decision was the fact that he couldn't move his arm out of the way. So it was like in no way intentional. It would also be stupid for him to try and handle the ball there. But obviously it did bounce in our favor, and Rodriguez finished it. I feel so bad for Rodriguez. He goes up so much, but he scores so little. And he's not bad, attacking wise, but I wish he had more goals to kind of like justify all the times he goes forward. But
He's
it
good
is
at
what it is.
everything.
Yeah. And then Wilson also got a chance inside the six, almost scored a goal for us, but to Emilia again. Um, yeah, we like you said, we could have won this game 3-2. And like I said, it's a game of moments. So if those moments go slightly differently, this is a completely different game. We have our first 3 points. We have our first point in general. Um, yeah. Uh, I'm getting tired of this, Devin. I'm getting tired of coming on this show and they're like, all right, Ivan's like, all right, guys, you're gonna talk about the Quakes, and I'm like, there's nothing to say about the Earthquakes right now. We're really, really, really bad. Um,
Well, instead of the earthquakes, we can move on to the Town FC. I know you had
Yay, yeah.
you,
Guess
you
who else? Guess who else lost 2-1 this
Oh
weekend?
yeah, that's right, huh? Well, I didn't
Yeah,
watch any of the game. I will put that out
mm,
there. I was at work during that time, and also Bay FC were playing. And big up Bay
yeah,
FC for getting their first ever win and their win away. They show
yeah,
they can find it any way, anytime to collect 3 points from anywhere. So congratulations, Bay FC, on their first ever victory in their first ever game.
yeah. They
Really happy
technically
for you
have
guys.
a they have 100% win percentage and never lost. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
doing pretty well. Yeah, no, I was watching the BFC game. I got to halftime and then I was debating like, should I just skip the Town FC game and just watch, BFC? Thankfully, I didn't miss anything by switching over to Town FC because the goal had already happened. I can't pronounce her name. Oshwala.
Oshwala?
Yeah, Oshwala.
Oshwala.
That was a banger. That was a monster goal. She hit that like really hard, and the keeper had no chance. Um, maybe this will be the BFC podcast. Maybe you should take down all the scars behind you and switch them with BFC, and then we'll have a much more positive podcast
Our
from here
lives
on
would be
out.
so much happier.
Right? Um, but no, let's talk about the Town FC. So we saw some new faces today. We saw Riley Lynch, we saw Jamar Ricketts, and we saw Bo LaRue. Uh, yeah, everyone is so excited about Bo LaRue. Um, he's probably the most loved player in the franchise right now for no reason at all. Um, but no, I really liked Bolaru and how he plays. But it kind of is, it's a mixed bag with how I feel about him because he plays so similar to Edwin Mendoza. He's a little bit taller, but he's just like that calm, collected center mid. And Edwin Mendoza is the same thing, but left footed. So it's a kind of a weird partnership that they have in the center midfield there. But I I have to say I really really liked Jamar Ricketts. I thought that he was the most exciting player on the field. Every time he received the ball, he did some kind of skill, some kind of move to beat his marker, and he's so fast. He's so agile. Um, it's not just like his running speed, but his change of direction is phenomenal. Um, I'm just not sure about his defensive ability. He doesn't really have a very good standing tackle or anything like that. He just kind of like goes in and tries to get the ball however he can, which is will inevitably end with him getting beat a few times by a forward who knows what they're doing. But attacking wise, Jamar is really one to look out for. Um, Oscar Verhoeven didn't play, which would have been nice to see him play. Um, and Riley Lynch got the goal. He actually did it all by himself. He pressured the defense. He picked the ball off of the right back, and then he finished on his left foot inside the box. So that's really cool. I think that maybe I don't want to say it, but we might have a new Wando with the because he seems to be the poacher type. He just runs onto the ball at the last play and tries to finish. So um, he actually did remind me a lot about Wando and a lot of the highlights that I've seen from him. So not saying he's going to be that level, but he's a good addition to Quicks too. Or sorry, I can't say that anymore. To the Town FC.
It'll take some
Um,
time to adjust to that.
it took so much time. Like I was like, am I rooting for either of the teams here? Because like every time they would say the names of the teams, I was like, who? Oh, right, Town FC is our team now. Um, but yeah, sorry, I've been like hogging the microphone, talking about the town's game. Um, but then
Well,
again,
I can't really invest any opinion into this because I didn't watch the game like you did.
yeah,
I was invested into the first team Quakes and VFC, and I was at work, so I didn't have time to watch the town yet.
yeah. I mean, I think there was positives from that game. I think that the goals that I don't remember what they're called, but LA Galaxy's second team, they changed their name as well. Uh,
It's like Ventura
but
or
either
something.
way, sorry.
Isn't it like Ventura FC or something like
Yeah,
that?
Ventura. Yeah, that's right. Um, they Ventura County. Uh,
Yeah.
but they weren't that much better than us. But the way that they set up, kind of, they had better possession and they finished their chances when they got them. Um, it's unfortunate. It's gonna happen. I think that the keeper, Mikolaj, you know what I'm talking about, the Polish guy.
Yeah.
Um, so he played all 90 minutes for us in goal. Um, I, excuse me. I think he looked good. I think that for the first goal that we conceded, he had to dive the full length of the goal to get to the ball, and obviously he didn't get there. But the fact that he did, eventually get across the goal, he has the athleticism to jump and leap from one side of the goal to the other. He almost got there, and that was really impressive. Unfortunately, there wasn't too much to see from him. But yeah, like I said, there's not too much to talk about in quick space right now. Um, so it is what it is. But hopefully in the future things pick up.
Well, our next game is versus Seattle Sounders, and San Jose Earthquakes fan base are going to welcome back Nathan to San Jose. So it should
Yeah,
be an interesting matchup, an interesting fight, considering now we got three Earthquakes Brazilians on the field: Nathan Rodriguez and Wilson. Well, two Earthquakes and one former Earthquake, but it would be nice to see Nathan back on the in PayPal Park yet again because he was such a beloved member of the team while he was here, and obviously for my background, I gave my dad an Earthquakes jersey with Nathan on the back of it. So yeah, much love for Nathan here
yeah.
in San Jose. But what are your thoughts on the upcoming matchup versus Seattle Sounders?
Uh, I try not to. I try not to have thoughts about it. So I can't I can't speak much on how Seattle are doing this year, but I know that it's better than us, and so I'm excited to see Nathan again. I'm curious about how he is. He had a very bad injury, so I'm curious to see if he's still as explosive or as energetic. Um, I hope not, so that we can take advantage of it. But yeah, I always love to see Nathan. He was like you said, a great figure here. I think that Seattle is a team that has a hard time in our stadium for whatever reason. Lately, uh, you know, the last few times they were here, we've actually managed to get results from them. Um, So that's the only thing kind of giving me hope right now. Uh, I don't think anything in particular is, gonna push us over the line or give us the edge. Uh, I'm just praying for Nico to come back. I think if we had a strong number 10 that could kind of distribute better than Scan. Scan's very good at ball progression and a lot of energy in the press. Um, and, that's great, but it's not really what we need or have needed in this particular formation where there's such little space to operate in that 10 role because, we have the 6 and then the 8 and then the 10 right below the striker. So the center backs are going to be pushed up a little bit to, cover Bobasi dropping back so much. He doesn't like to be up for whatever reason. So there's not a lot of space for the 10 in that situation. And Skayan struggles in tight spaces, unfortunately. When he has open spaces, then he will rip defenders apart. But that hasn't been the case so far this year.
Well, I like your mention of a formation, analyzing the formation because during Sporting Kansas City, we reverted to a 4-4-2, something that we haven't seen since really Dominic Kinnear took over as manager for the Earthquake. So it's been a long time since we've seen a 4-4-2 here. And it worked for the most part, specifically
Mm-hmm.
because, kind of like you mentioned with Skane, we have no cam. We have no real cam. There's nothing we can do about it. So why give us a cam in the first place? Let's switch to a formation that doesn't have a cam like a 4-4-2, and I think it would have been easier to move the ball around, and sure enough, it was.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess at this point we're just waiting for Nico Tsikeris to gain his health again and be fit enough to play for us. But I think that's something that we should also continue to push for versus Seattle Sounders FC is maintaining the 4-4-2 or having another formation similar to it, if not the 4-4-2 again, because of that fact that we don't have a cam. I really liked what Skane provided off the bench last game. I liked his energy. I liked his on the ball skill. He definitely moved around a couple of KC guys. So I'm optimistic for his potential, even though he's like 25, 26 years old. I still think he has a lot of improvement in him. So I'm excited to see, what he would have coming off the bench. But we need to have a 4-4-2 again or a non-cam starting 11 versus Seattle Sounders because that's the only way I think we can push forward with the two striker system. And like you said, Ebobasi is not really that guy to stay among to stand amongst the back four along
Yeah.
the back four line. Like he drops back so often, and we need to have someone there to help push and pressure the back four line. Um, and I think Judd is the perfect man to do it. And if not Judd, then we have Pellegrino on, right alongside Jeremy Ebobasi. Bring Judd in as a substitute, and then have Benji Kikanovic as left mid. Like we have a lot of options right now to move the team around, kind of move players around, and see what goes our way. But I do like the experiment that Lucci did over the week and the change. It significantly helped us in a lot of ways, and I really hope it continues versus Seattle.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the 4-4-2, I'm surprised we didn't talk about it already. It was a kind of revelation in the staleness that we've been having this season because we don't have the players for 4-3-3. We have the players for 4-2-2. We have two strikers who are MLS quality, and we have two midfielders who are MLS quality. Let's play that formation, and it makes a lot of sense. Like what you were saying about the Pellegrino moving to striker and Benji on the left. I like that. I think that's the current. I call it the fan fiction formation because it's kind of like what the fans want, but it's not necessarily what's happening. Or I don't know if Lucci is considering that at all, putting Pellegrino at the striker position. But I think it would be very interesting because Pellegrino likes to phase into dangerous areas and then receive the ball and then do something with it. He's not really a dribbler or someone who's gonna make things out of nothing um, by himself. He needs kind of support to do that. Um, At least that's what I've been seeing from him so far. So I like the energy that Benji has brought off the bench. I would also like to see him start because uh, I think he deserves it. I think he works his butt off every game, and he's kind of showing what we were missing last year of a super energetic forward who's willing to get stuck in to run at full pace, to run at defenders. Uh, I mean, it hasn't been super effective, but you see what it could be. At least that's what I think. Because
Yeah, well, I mean,
he's
oh,
good.
sorry. I mean, if I'm a striker that scored a couple of preseason goals and scored in the very first game, and I've got benched for like the next 2 or 3 games, I'd personally be upset too. You know, I'd say
Yeah,
I've deserved my spot in the starting 11, and now I've gotten benched. I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm
yeah,
gonna throw maybe not a fit, but I'm gonna let you know like I deserve the spot because I've proven it.
yeah, yeah. And it's really hard. You know, Benji's career at the San Jose Earthquakes has been really tough. He's never had it easy. He came in. He was a natural nine, in my opinion, when he first came in, and we had Wando and we had Abobasi. So he wasn't really. And then we loved Andy Rios. Uh, uh, Almeida, loved bringing on Rios. So it wasn't really time for Kikanovic, except for like really late in the game when we needed somebody to fight for headers, and then we started starting Cade every match, where Cade was our star boy from our academy. With the beautiful locks and the blistering pace, and so all the media is on Cade Cowell, and then Benji is again overlooked, and then now we brought in a big name from Norway, and again Benji's getting overlooked, and that's really frustrating for him, I bet. Especially because I think that his best position ultimately would be a nine. I think that's what he's the most suited for. I think that he works very well as a winger. I think he has the dribbling and pace for it, but I think that if you're looking at his attributes and thinking where do I put this guy, you would usually put him at the striker position. But for some reason, we want Buddha there, who's been a winger his whole career. At school, he was a winger on both sides. It's kind of weird, what Lucci's idea of this team is, where we have a little guy, waiting in the box for Kikanovic to cross it to him, and it's kind of backwards to me.
Definitely. And you kind of pointed out something that I wanted to mention for a little while now, in that, San Jose Earthquakes fans don't know what's happening on the training field. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't have access to that right now, you know. But there's something that we do know, and that's the on-field product, the things that happen between the first whistle and the final whistle. And some of those things don't add up to the recurrences within the starting 11. Like Jeremy Abobasi having a dignified spot, basically, or a solidified spot, basically, um, in the starting 11 when he hasn't really shown that product to prove it. Whereas Benji Kikanovic has. And I want to say, even though Pellegrino hasn't had any points yet, he's shown a lot of off the ball movement and good on the ball skill to prove himself in the starting 11. And we haven't seen that in Jibo, and it's one of those things where, despite d- whatever happens on the training field is one thing. Like Tommy Thompson continuously being the right back for the team, he shouldn't be the right back in the starting 11 or on the field for the 90 minutes, because in game he hasn't proven it. Nothing really to Tommy Thompson. It's not his fault he got chosen to be a substitute, but he shouldn't be. And it's one of those things for me where, if I'm manager, I want to see what the on-field product does rather than what the training does. The training builds up to the game. Sure, strategically, yes, I agree. Like if someone's a standout player, you probably as a manager look closer to them and be like, look, this guy's got pretty good skill. Maybe he'd be in an advantage over to this right back or something like that. But there's a lot of players that haven't proven that in the 90 minutes that we've seen. So I wish we can. I don't even know how to say this. I don't. I don't know how to go from here. But there are players that deserve the starting 11 spot in the 90 minutes time than
Yeah,
some of the other players that we've seen.
if they could show it on the field, then that's all I really want to see. That's all I care about. I don't really care about what's happening on the training pitch. If they're scoring goals in MLS on the field under the lights, that's what I want to see. It doesn't matter, what's happening with the cone setup, because Tommy isn't a right back. He's not naturally a right back. He's played there uh, because Almeida's system, and he is great at carrying the ball up, and one of the positions most free to do so is a fullback. So that makes sense why we put him there, and also we didn't have anyone else or anywhere else to put him because he's not super strong in other positions. Um, and we have Muni. Like I keep saying, Muni is a more capable right back than Thompson. Um, uh, I will say about Jabo that this was his best game so far. He got involved more, and I think that is largely because of Judd, who we haven't talked about. He was one of the bright spots of the match against Kansas City. He was super active. He was super strong. He's a lot faster than I thought he was for a big guy. Um, he was kind of everywhere and stretching the back line, allowing Jabo to play his game more. That's why I really want to see a 4-4-2, over a 4-3-3, because Judd and Jabo at the same time is better than I think either of them by themselves, um, just because of their play style really. Um, yeah, what do you think about that? About Judd?
I agree with you. I mean, I've said it from week one and in the preseason analysis that Judd has shown, he's capable of starting with the San Jose Earthquakes, and he deserves that either 9 spot or a secondary 9 spot with the 4-4-2. He needs to start, and I think his performance, even though he didn't really score, and he contributed it a lot with his pace and his aggression towards the back line, the opposition back line. He's done enough, at least in my eyes, to deserve a starting 11 spot, and I want to see him versus Seattle because I think Preston Judd, looking at the back line, I think he can do damage versus Nathan specifically. You know,
Mm.
Nathan has the heart, he's got the grit, but I think Judd has the pace, and he can slot a good chance home when he's got the chance to do so.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we haven't seen Nathan. I can't imagine he's stronger than he was before, but maybe he is. I don't know. But I wanted to bring up a point, or maybe a point of discussion rather. So we mentioned all these things about what the manager has done wrong that seem obvious to us, and things have changed a little bit, but it's kind of not enough it's not enough and it's not happening quick enough. Do you think it's time to be calling for Lucci out?
I mean, after the improvement with Kansas City, I think it's tough to call Alucci out on this because in the press conference, he kind of got roasted a couple of times unnecessarily. In my opinion, I didn't
Yeah,
think it was fair. And he made a couple of good points that, like, if you watch the game, you saw that there was moments of optimism and moments of improvement. But a lot of the questions asked towards him were like, there were no optimism. The fans were not happy. Yeah, we're not happy that we lost, obviously, but there were good moments, and we showed a great fight and grit for throughout most of the 90 minutes. um I don't think it's deserved to have Alucci out yet. I think he's made the changes that we've asked him to do so, and I think during the for those changes he can now build with his team in the training sessions to improve our tactics with the 4-4-2. We've asked him to make changes and he's done it, and I don't think we should force Lucci out because he's doing the things now that we're asking him to do. The only thing we're really asking him to do now is to win a game.
yeah. I we should ask him to go undefeated for the rest of the season. Maybe we'll try that. Um, hey, but what I wanted to say was, off the back of that was, I think that this is the first game where we've had a trajectory that is positive, as opposed to the game before. Um, so I think that, would signify to most people that we're going in the right direction, even though But I want to say that the problem is though, um, that it's four in a row. We've lost four in a row, and it wasn't a bad loss this time. But off the back of the three before it, it's really not good. No other team has that right now. I don't believe in MLS. There might be something going on in the East. I don't pay attention to that league as much, but I know that we are at the very bikini rock bottom of this Western Conference with -6 goals differential. So it's looking very bad. I think that you're right in that the changes that he's made are positive ones, and the reason that I would be hesitant to say Lucci out, even though even with everything I just said, is that I've seen what Lucci can do. I think that, the soccer that he wants to play, ideally, and that's the first two-thirds of the season last year. That's Lucci I really enjoyed watching. I loved the his tactics at that point. We haven't seen that in a while, but I know that there's a potential for that. Um, Also, he's a manager that likes to have a cam, a number 10, and he hasn't had that. He's been deprived of that basically
Yeah.
since Montero kind of dropped off and Chikaris is a child. We can't expect him to carry this team on his shoulders, even though I think that he has a lot of ability. Um, I'm kind of very mixed because how many games are we going to let him lose before we're like, okay, you know, we've got to pop off with him now. But the on the other hand, how much damage did that do to us? Because we built this team around him. These are. I would hope that these are players that he wants to have, the ones that we brought in so far. And if we, I think that we were building in a right direction, as opposed to the season in 2022. We were very bad during that season. So 2023 is an improvement, and then 2024 we've been, rock bottom. But if we let them go, do we continue losing? Do we
Right.
continue to be rock bottom? Whereas, like you said, there's a positive progression where we might be turning things around at this point, and it looks really bad because we lost four in a row. But maybe it's not as bad as it looks, with the results. Maybe underlying numbers suggest. You know, uh, maybe we just need more time with this squad needs more time together. Because there's a potential improvement, but you have to admit it's not looking good so far.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're approaching the out of time here. So yeah, no, I totally agree with exactly what you just said. There's there's hope, but there's also a majority of misery with the San Jose Earthquakes, and
Yeah,
um, with Bay FC really improving and kind of shining here in San Jose, there
yeah,
could be a chance that Bay FC might be the main team, and the Earthquakes are going to have to really push for uh, a lot of improvement. I'll just say that. But
yeah,
there's one thing before I go, and that is um, it's a little. I feel it's unfair, you know, to have Lucci meet the club standard for last season. They gave him some objectives in the preseason in 2023, and he met them at the end of 2023. And not necessarily saying it's Leach's fault. Definitely, I don't agree it's Leach's fault, but um, you have to back him financially. Back him, give him the money for the cam that we desire, and I think you're going to see a major improvement in the team because his main what is it formation is the 4-2-3-1. We can't play a 4-2-3-1 without the cam. Give him the cam that he wants. Pay just a little bit more. Honestly, I
yeah.
don't I don't get it. I don't get it, Fisher.
We have the Cade money.
Exactly. We have the money to do it, so why not invest back into the team?
Yeah, we have to make the bar bigger.
Definitely. So I think
Yeah.
we're out of time here.
No, yeah, no problem. Yeah, that was well said, Devin. And like I said, there's not much to talk about, so this was a shorter episode than usual. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for listening to Tectonic Takes. We'll be back next week with another episode. Uh, And with that being said, go Quakes.
Go Quakes.